Imagine a sea creature the size of a school bus, a distant relative of the manatee, cruising the Pacific like a living relic of the Pleistocene. Hey, my name's Caleb, and I'm a contributor to One Campfire. This is the story of the Steller sea cow and how it helped form a model of modern conservation. This is Tofino, a small Canadian town in the Pacific Northwest. It's a place where local kids know whales by name, like Chainsaw, or Little Patch, or Mike, whales that return year after year. It's a relationship that doesn't happen everywhere, and it's something to celebrate. Gray whales have been rebounding for most of my life, and it's not just me saying it. The science backs it up. But since 2016, numbers have begun to decline again. What about the species that didn't come back? The ones that are gone for good, such as the dodo bird, the macrochenia, or the helicoprion. The Steller sea cow was massive. At 10 meters long and 11 tons, it was built like an underwater tank, too buoyant to even submerge. Instead, it glided along the surface, chomping on thick strands of kelp with bristly pads instead of teeth. These kelp forests once spanned from Japan to Patagonia, an uninterrupted ocean jungle vast enough to feed giants. But then came the European whaling ships, and in only 27 years, the Steller sea cow vanished from our oceans. Gone. Why? Most of what we know about the Steller sea cow comes from Georg Steller. He was a naturalist aboard a Russian research vessel back in 1740. You might know his name from the Steller's jay, the Steller's sea lion, and even the Steller's C8. But that's a story for another time. Steller documented everything about Steller sea cows in his book De Basis Marinus. While stranded on Bering Island, his crew survived on sea cow meat. They said that the blubber tasted like almonds, the meat tasted like corned beef, and the milk, they even churned it into butter. And yet, in his writings, you can feel the awe and respect he had for these animals. He describes their intelligence, their empathy, and even how one sea cow would return day after day to mourn its mate long after it was gone. And it wasn't just harpoons that did them in. When European traders decimated sea otter populations for their oily pelts, something happened. Sea urchins, once kept in check by otters, exploded in number, and sea urchins love to eat kelp. As urchins ate their way across the ocean floor, the kelp all but disappeared, and with it, the sea cow's only food source. They were the first documented marine mammal to go extinct by human hands. This was a wake-up call, a brutal reminder that the ocean's bounty is not infinite. It wasn't just hunting, it was unregulated commercial slaughter. While we will never swim with these mermaids of the North Pacific, we can learn from their loss, because many historians point to the story of the Steller sea cow as the beginning of the modern conservation movement. On the Great Plains, it was the bison's turn. Over 30 million strong before European settlement and reduced to just fewer than 1,000 by the 1880s. Slaughtered not just for meat and hides, but for sport and politics, eliminating a food source for indigenous communities. Passenger pigeons were numbered in the billions. Their flocks would darken the sky for hours. But by 1914, the last one, Martha, died in a cage in the Cincinnati Zoo. People have been managing wildlife in North America for thousands of years. And settlers too began to recognize that wildlife wasn't limitless. Visionaries like Theodore Roosevelt, John Muir, and Aldo Leopold believed that nature deserved protection and conservation that went beyond just preservation. It needed active management. And so, the North American model of wildlife conservation was created. A framework built on two core principles: that wildlife belongs to the public and that it must be managed sustainably. Has it worked? Well, bison now roam in protected herds, and elk are thriving across the Rockies, and white-tailed deer, once hunted and near extinction, are now more abundant than ever. And it wasn't just hunters or conservationists. The general public began to understand that nature needed space and protection to thrive. Today, revenue generated from hunting licenses, fishing licenses, and even duck stamps goes towards funding habitat protection and restoration. It's not about banning hunting, but it's about regulating it and giving wildlife a chance to rebound.
When you paddle out here, it's easy to think that the ocean has always been this way. But the truth is, we've lost more than we realize. The Steller sea cow isn't coming back, and neither is the passenger pigeon. But for other animals, like the gray whales we see out there, we're doing better. Are we doing a perfect job? No. But I'm confident my children will know the names of more whales than I do, because conservation is about protecting the animals we share this world with and making sure what's still here stays here.